Hello and welcome to the League of Women Voters Wichita Metro annual meeting. This is our big meeting of the year, and we are so excited that you are here. I feel so very fortunate to introduce my close friend, as well as just inspiration, but also our Wichita Metro co-president, Martha Pint, for our welcome this evening. Martha, take it away.
Well, thank you, Kate. You're pretty darned inspiring yourself. So 2020, 2021, what a long, strange trip it's been. It almost makes you want to break out in a Grateful Dead song, but what have we done on this long, strange trip? We've cared for our friends, our families, our neighbors, and hopefully even ourselves. We've lived and survived, and sometimes we've even thrived, and we've lost. And I don't say that lightly. We've engaged with each other, either through socially distanced methods or by using the phone or Zoom, but we've made it here today. Another president has been elected, another legislative session has been completed, and still the work of the League continues, empowering voters, defending democracy. We welcome you tonight to our 2021 annual meeting. It's really a celebration. Take it away, Kate.
Thank you so much, Martha, for taking the time to just really encapsulate our year. Well, I am super excited because tonight I have the opportunity to share with you for our next time this year, almost our final meeting of the year, until we have some other events coming up. We'll talk about those at the end. But in honor of Asian American and Pacific Islander Month, I had the opportunity to interview the founder, Sarah, of Be Seen, which is a local Asian American and Pacific Islander organization here in Wichita. She explains it so beautifully, and so I'm very excited to be able to share this video with you. Advocacy Director at League of Women Voters Wichita Metro. So with that, I have the opportunity to interview incredible people for our diversity, equity, and inclusion segments before our meeting. So today I'm with Sarah Moyes. I am so excited to be here with you. You are the founder and kind of creative behind Be Seen, which is here based in Wichita for our AAPI community, helping them through art to be able to find their voice with advocacy and helping to connect them so that they have a seat at the table for all different things so that their voices are heard. So I am super excited to get to learn all about everything with Be Seen. I've read a bunch and I'm so excited. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk with y'all.
So tell me more. I know a lot about Be Seen, but tell me more so that our listeners and viewers that might not have heard about Be Seen before, tell me more about it. Like how
actually a nonprofit arts collective in Wichita, and the two founders of Harvester Arts, they helped like mentor me and talk with y'all.
So tell me more. I know a lot about Be Seen, but tell me more so that our Hello, everybody. So sorry for that minor technical difficulty. We're going to start that over again. Please stick with us. Sometimes that happens. Internet, even on the best day, sometimes have a moment. So we're going to try that one more time. Hold on one second. Advocacy Director at League of Women Voters Wichita Metro. So with that, I have the opportunity to interview incredible people for our diversity, equity, and inclusion segments before our meeting. So today I'm with Sarah Moyes. I am so excited to be here with you. You are the founder and kind of creative behind Be Seen, which is here based in Wichita for our AAPI community, helping them through art to be able to find their voice with advocacy and helping to connect them so that they have a seat at the table for all different things so that their voices are heard. So I am super excited to get to learn all about everything with Be Seen. I've read a bunch and I'm so excited. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk with y'all.
So tell me more. I know a lot about Be Seen, but tell me more so that our listeners and viewers that might not have heard about Be Seen before, tell me more about it. Like, how did you come up with the idea and what is it like today?
Oh, that's a good question. So I started back in 2019, way before the pandemic started. And so I actually applied for a fellowship through Harvester Arts, which is a nonprofit arts collective in Wichita. And the two founders of Harvester Arts, they helped like mentor me, and they really helped me like figure out this idea about how I can combine both the arts and civic engagement. And so originally, I was like, I want to create some kind of campaign where we encourage people to vote and we use art. But I really had no idea like who to target. Like it was pretty broad.
Hello, everyone. I am back again because we are going to switch up the video since this one is not being, it's not being as exciting as we had hoped. It's not functioning as properly as we'd like. So I'm going to do some switch outs and so we can have a better experience there. So hang with me for just another second. Everyone, I am so sorry for our technical difficulties tonight. Usually I can work around them, but the sound was just not working. And so I don't want to have you just sit watching a weird old video right there. Not a weird old video, but a video with no sound. So we're going to work on some other things and we're going to try to get that to work for us. If you do have any questions, always feel free to drop them into the comments or anything there, and we'll continue to work. We do have another video that I'm really excited to share with you, and I'm going to do the best that I possibly can to make sure that I can that you can hear this. So with that, what that's going to look like is I'm going to share that video, and this is a welcome from Virginia Case. Virginia Case is our executive director of League of Women Voters nationally. She is an incredible human being, as well as a great advocate for us on the state, local, and national level. So we're very fortunate to hear from her today. So I'm going to add this, and I'm going to work so that you can be able to hear it as well.
So much for having me join your league meeting today. I'm Virginia Case, the CEO of the League of Women Voters of the United States. I want to start by saying welcome, whether you are a new league member or you are a dedicated veteran of the league. I am so grateful to each and every one of you for your commitment to our organization and our work. Last year, the League celebrated 100 years of empowering voters and defending democracy. And in the middle of a global pandemic, we worked tirelessly to ensure that American voters had the information and the access they needed to participate in our elections. Together, we provided information for more than 6 million voters through our voter guides, candidate forums, and our election website, vote411.org, which for the first time ever was also available in Spanish. Across the country, we joined 60 state and federal lawsuits in more than 35 states to ensure voters had safe access to the ballot in the middle of a pandemic. And our work paid off. 2020 saw the greatest participation in a century among voters. The determination of American voters to make sure their voices were heard still gives me chills. And all of us had a role to play in this past election. Whether you registered voters, phone banked, knocked on doors, called your legislators, emailed your friends and family, thank you for making democracy work. But the work doesn't stop with this election behind us. There is no off season for the League. In fact, since last November, hundreds of bad voting bills have been introduced in states across the country that would undo the progress of 2020 and the work of our organization. Often targeted at communities of color, people with disabilities, and low-income individuals, voter suppression is a serious threat to our democracy and our organization's core work. This is not something we take lightly. 100 years after women won the right to vote, that right, which so many people fought for, can be stripped away. So now is the time for us to recommit to the mission of empowering voters and defending democracy. Women and our allies have powered the vote for a century. In this moment, it's time to ask ourselves, how do we want to show up for democracy? What does it mean to be allies in 2021? As a multiracial, multi-generational organization, we have a responsibility to call out injustices, whether in our state legislatures or in Congress. Because we've been doing this for 100 years. Because we're a nonpartisan organization. because we are a trusted voice in our communities. The League, our members, all of us, all of you, we have a special responsibility in this struggle. We speak for no special interest or party, but for voters seeking to exercise their rights. We power the vote by improving our elections, ensuring fair redistricting, advocating for voting rights, and standing up to big money interests. We power democracy by furthering civic education, countering mis and disinformation, and stepping up to call for equality for all. So thank you. Thank you for the work you've done, and thank you for keeping up this fight and working together to live up to our mission of empowering voters and defending democracy this year and every year. I wish you all a very successful and productive event and look forward to seeing many of you in person at our national convention in Denver in 2022, once we've all been vaccinated and we start to see the tide turn with this global pandemic. Thank you all, and let's get to work.
Wow, what inspiring words from Virginia Case. Truly, she sums it up very well. We've all put in a lot of work this year. One group of people that have also put in a lot of work this year are our students. We are so fortunate to have a great group of students that are a part of our organization. We also are very fortunate that we are able to award 2 scholarships every year to students who are advocating for voter rights and registration, as well as making sure that democracy continues in a way where we are always putting our voters first. I am very proud to announce our 2 winners tonight. We will hear a short video from them, and then I will bring them up so that we will be able to have a moment to ask them some questions. Our 2 winners of the scholarships are Ronald Hemingway and Ellie Brainack. I'm very excited for you to get to know these 2 individuals. I've had the pleasure of getting to know them and know that our democracy and our future is in great hands. Please watch this short video, and we're going to do a really great job to try to make sure it works with sound as well, so that you guys will be able to you'll be able to hear this very easily. Hopefully, we're gonna, and if not, we just get to do it a different way. Not the end of the world. Oh, there we are.
Yes, I think I found that a lot of kids my age, a lot of teenagers don't get registered to vote and they don't feel like they need to or that their voice needs to be heard. And so I just felt like there's a lot of reasons that I'm not sure everyone understands or fully gets involved with. So I really wanted to write that out. And I've also always been really interested in the League of Women Voters, so wanted to, even if this is just a first start, to get involved with it and understand more about it.
Okay, well, first, I heard about gerrymandering about 5 to 6 years ago, and so it was always a very interesting topic to me. And so,
Folks, I am so sorry. For some reason, the videos that I am playing are taking a while to render and have a lot of buffering issues. I so apologize. So with that, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to be able to introduce you to one of the scholarship winners, as well as we're going to have someone that is filling in for one of our scholarship winners but knows them very well because they're unable to be here tonight. So I'm going to introduce you to Jeff Hemingway and Ellie Brainack, who are, Jeff is representing Ron, and tonight he is unable to be with us due to an emergency, and then Ellie is here as well. Welcome! Congratulations!
Thanks for having us.
I am so excited that Ron and Ellie have both won. if you both would share, so Jeff, if you would like to share for Ron, since he's unable to be with us tonight, where he is planning on attending, where he attended school this past year, and where he's planning on attending school this next year, and what are his courses of study.
Ron completed his freshman year at the University of Kansas. He is in the engineering school. He is specializing in computer engineering, and he'll be returning there next year, both as a sophomore and also as an RA.
Awesome. Ellie, where are you planning to attend school this next year, and where did you attend school this past year?
I just completed my senior year at Andover High School, and I will be attending Kansas State University to study biological systems engineering.
Awesome. So exciting. Ellie, I have a few more questions for you. Jeff, thank you for being here and accepting on behalf of Ron and sharing with us all of Ron's plans for this next year.
Thank you for having me.
Ellie, just a couple of quick questions for you so that we can learn a little bit more about you and how incredible and impactful you are in our community. So first, how did you learn about us? Or is this like a cool new topic at school like everybody's talking about? I know that made me sound just like aged myself completely, but like where did you hear and where did you first learn about League of Women Voters?
I've heard about it for randomly throughout my life. My involved in the Springfield, Missouri chapter when she was younger. And so I had heard about that through her and through my mom. And then when I heard about the scholarship, I was just really excited on how I could learn more about the Wichita chapter of it and see how I could get involved more.
Awesome. That's so cool. It's multi-generational. That's awesome. So what is one thing that you would like to tell your peers about voting, voters' rights, or voter registration?
I think the biggest thing I'd like to talk about is the importance of local elections and how impactful municipal, state, and judicial elections are in our lives. And I think we a lot of times choose to focus on the federal elections and specifically the presidential elections and how much more involved the local elections are in our lives and how those are changing rules based on our schools and the local laws that we deal with and the taxes we are involved with. And so just understanding that there's more than just federal and knowing that you can have a voice in that also in the federal elections.
It really is. I think how frequently we just hear, okay, every 4 years there's an election when there is an election at least every year, if not other ones that pop up in the meantime because of special elections. So how do you think advocacy will impact it, like advocacy, especially for voting, impact your future endeavors?
I think I'll definitely stay involved with, I was looking into volunteering at local elections. I wasn't able to this year with restrictions with COVID and school, but I think that would be a really great thing to do, especially as we're seeing volunteers decreasing with the demographics that are usually involved with volunteering in elections. And so just trying to keep that up and continue to allow others to vote. And then just focusing on keeping my friends and family updated on when dates and deadlines are for election, because they can get complicated sometimes with when you have to be registered. And if you're, especially for college students, if you have to request mail-in ballots or out of district ballots, so you can don't have to drive home all the way to vote. So just things like those.
Totally. I mean, when I was in college, I literally forgot to register for a mail-in ballot. So I drove home. I did that. I drove home to vote in an election, which I mean is fine, but like that's such a thing. Like I didn't even think, okay, when is this deadline? That's a great effort. So Ellie, I am so excited for you and all your endeavors this next year. And Ron, we're so excited for you as well. So thank you so much for joining with us tonight. Thank you for being an advocate for voter rights and registration and taking the yoke for being a part of the people that take the yoke for the next generation of advocacy. We cannot wait to see what you do. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me, and thank you for this opportunity.
We have such incredible students and young people that are taking on the mantle of what it means to be someone that's passionate about voter rights and registration. Also, people that are choosing to become a part of the process We are so thankful that she is here, that we have had Ellie and Ron as a part of this. Giving you a little background on Ron's essay, he spoke about redistricting and gerrymandering and about how impactful that is on somebody's ability to vote and being able to have their voice count. Incredible to have such different perspectives, but such at the heart of where they are. We are so very fortunate. Tonight, we also have the opportunity of honoring a community member of the year. It looks like we were supposed to have our co-president Jennifer Hemingway here, but unfortunately I don't see her on. So that's okay. We're gonna have back on Martha Pint, our co-president, and she's going to be introducing our Citizen of the Year.
Thanks, Kate. And I'm sorry, I thought Jennifer was here with us, but I'll go ahead and just step up. I am very honored and very proud to introduce our Citizen of the Year for 2021, Adrienne Byrne. I would suggest that as you all listen to Ms. Byrne and her presentation this evening, as we recognize her, if there are questions that you would like to pose, there will be a Q&A that will follow up after she shares her thoughts with us. And so we invite you to forward those to us and share those so that Kate can pose those. Adrienne has had 32 years in public health. Her work has been in educating targeted audiences and the community on various health topics. Early on, it was related to domestic violence, substance use disorders, effects of addiction on the individual and family, communication skills, and stress management when practicing as a psychotherapist. As her career progressed into management, the focus area broadened to include population health, everything from maternal and child health care, immunizations, access to affordable health care, to oral health, sexually transmitted infection control, and chronic disease prevention. In her current role as health director for the last 7 years, she's worked with the health department for a total of 33 years, but 7 as health director. In this role, she's responsible for overseeing 136 employees. Oh my goodness. Several program areas, strategic planning, and working with community partners. I think that includes the league. More specifically, she's managed the COVID-19 response for the county and the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccination initiative. We are honored to recognize her this evening and count ourselves quite fortunate that she's with us. So I will turn it over to Adrienne. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I want to thank the League of Women's Voters for this award. I am extremely honored, surprised, shocked to be receiving such an important award, Citizen of the Year. So as you said, I've been with the health department for a long time, decades. I always feel old when I think about that. Going on 7 years in this role. And I can say with all certainty that COVID, particularly the first year, has been the most difficult, demanding, and challenging of my career. The public health is ordinarily in the background, and many see public health for other people, mainly uninsured, and don't think much about it. COVID has changed that. So we in public health know that public health is for the entire community, and COVID, I think, is really helping the community be aware of public health. So our mission likely makes more sense to people now, and it's to improve the health of Sedgwick County residents by preventing disease, promoting wellness, and protecting the community from health threats. So one of the responsibilities for local health departments is providing and responding to emergencies. So we have trainings once or twice a year and exercises that we various scenarios that we respond to. And there are a couple of us left that were around for H1N1 in 2009, where we had a large scale vaccination clinic. But nothing prepares you for a pandemic, and particularly something like COVID, where things, particularly in the beginning, just change sometimes daily. So what we would have put out that day we had to provide new information the next day because it just was out of date already in 24 hours. So the health department ordinarily has about 135 employees, and with all the funding that's come in to help with COVID, with temporary staff and contractual staff, we reached over 400, and still, so we're starting to downsize now and looking at post end of June, but we'll still have quite a few staff. So there have been many challenges, and during COVID, I would tell people there definitely were no easy decisions, and sometimes there wasn't necessarily a right or wrong. You just had to look at both, what are the consequences from each, and sometimes there was not a good choice, but you went with the best one that you had at that time, knowing there were pluses and minuses to both choices. So, we have continued to learn, still learning every day, and very aware of things that we can do differently and help prepare for the next pandemic, because 11 years or so between H1N1 and COVID, and it'll be a matter of time before we have another novel virus or something crosses the ocean. I don't know if it'll be 10 years or not, but we look a lot at what we have done, and we'll have a lot of hot washes. And this one's going to be long, because who knew it would be this long? And we're not done with this marathon yet. We're over halfway through, but we still have some ways to go. So I'm extremely proud of our response to this, and staff's dedication and efforts since March 2019. And so and the community's response. I have to say the community, the number of volunteers, hundreds of volunteers. We now have a volunteer management system because we had so many volunteers step up. It was just overwhelming and amazing. And then all the businesses, there were a lot of businesses that really sacrificed because of wanting to do the right thing and wanting to try to help slow down the spread. So this is for the businesses too. But I see this award as an awareness and recognition of the importance of public health, and specifically the role that Sedgwick County Health Department has had in responding to COVID, and that we will continue to have for months to come. So I'm front and center, but most of the work is being done behind me. And so I accept this on behalf of all the staff at Sedgwick County Health Department, and still I'm surprised, but thank you. Thank you. I'm really speechless, and that's what I have to say. So I am happy to respond to any questions. I can't hear you.
Guys, you would think by now in my pandemic world, I would know to unmute myself.
We all do it.
But alas, here we are again, every time, at least once. I wanted to say thank you. Not only on behalf of the league, but I am a healthcare provider as well. And so I feel so very honored to be able to be with you today and be able to kind of ask you just more about how you handled this so well. One of our first questions that we have is, what is something that you're proud of from this last year? You've done a lot. And I bet there would be times where you're like, this is hard to figure out what I'm proud of, but what's your probably most proud or biggest accomplishment this past year?
Oh, there are so many. And I would say that the very first was that when we first got our health and medical partners together in March to say, hey, we don't know, I mean, it's coming. We're not sure exactly what all is going to happen, but we typically don't test. We don't take samples except if it's a sexually transmitted illness. We do that sort of thing. But in our very first meeting with the medical community and the hospitals, they turned to us and said, why aren't you testing? And we're like, okay. So I looked at my deputy director, and I looked at each other, and one of our missions, one of our purposes here is to fill voids when there are voids in the community. And so even though hospitals and offices are usually the ones that take samples and send them off to the lab, we said, by golly, for whatever reason, there's a gap. and we will find a way to fill that gap. And so we quickly started handling those samples, and then eventually got the drive-through that we had and did a lot of testing, taking the samples and sending them off. And that was a challenge because the national labs were overwhelmed. And so it was up to 10 days at times. Well, people are just about done with quarantine and isolation during that time. So it was really, really hard, but the whole system was stressed. I mean, the whole country, the whole world was stressed. So just very proud of how quickly that we were able to adapt to that. And the same thing with how quickly we set up a large scale clinic. So even though some would say, boy, we really weren't prepared for this pandemic at all. Well, who was? And even though it might have seemed on the outside, it took a long time, we stood up that large scale clinic for vaccinating pretty darn quickly. So we're really proud at how nimble we've been, and it's been a process because we would ask staff wouldn't have an option. It'd be like, well, I know you thought we were going to do this in 2 days, but we're going to do this in 2 days. So staff really have done just a fabulous job of really going, what? To, okay, we're going to make this work. So just the adaptability I have been really impressed with.
That's incredible, especially, I mean, we all started not knowing much, and you guys made decisions on the fly, and it was incredible to watch and be able to see our community as an example for others. That was fantastic. The next question that some people have is, when the going gets tough, I bet every day this year was not a cakewalk. How do you rally? How did you get yourself prepared to go for the next day?
That's an interesting question. I've decided that I was made for a pandemic. So prior to, because H1N1, I was asked to run the clinic, manage the clinic, even though I didn't have clinic experience, because my personality is, if I don't know, I'll find out. And so, but this was nothing. That was a walk in the park. I really enjoyed that. It was difficult to find anything positive about COVID in the beginning because there's so much pressure and politicalness to it. And it either brought out the worst in people or the best in people. And it did bring out a lot of good. I can say that. But I didn't even think about it. I just, Monday through Sunday, it all blurred. I'm just now starting to think, okay, it's Monday. It really is Monday. Because it all blurred together. And I didn't know whether it was a Monday or a Sunday, or it was just all the time. I just kept going and didn't really think about, I have a lot of tenacity, natural tenacity and perseverance, and I can be stubborn, and some of these are good and some of these are bad. It depends upon the situation. But there are 2 or 3 times where I hit the wall after a particular meeting where there was criticism of the health department. And it's harder for me to hear criticism of the health department because I think about staff and how difficult it would be for them to hear some of this stuff. And so, I mean, to be honest, one day I went to my car after a meeting and just broke down and cried for a little bit. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready again. And so let that pressure out of the cooker. And because even strong people, you gotta, because self-care isn't always really at the forefront as far as, exercising and just working 12, 15 hours a day and just doing everything, but still not doing enough. So it's just my personality. I thought there will come a time where I'll be able to take more time. And I know I should be eating better, drinking less, but this is just, I have this, sweatshirt that said, wine, it's what's holding this blank show together. And
I love that.
That was part of it. So, but just knowing that it would get to the place where it would settle down and there was too much to do to not just do.
Mm-hmm. I think that you said that so well. Just like you've got to keep going. And there's times where you just have to take your moment whenever you need it and say, all right, we're going to move on and we're going to just keep going. That natural tenacity, I think, like you said, made you for a pandemic, which I know nobody in their lives ever thought they would say.
Rose to the occasion. And I thought about one of your
Mhm.
questions when it was, what's my leadership style?
Oh my gosh, you read my mind. That's the next one. We're
And-
so good at this.
And you know what? Ordinarily, it's very democratic. It's participatory. Some coaching in there from my background as a psychotherapist. Oh, that went out the window. I was autocratic, very result focused. You know, this is going to happen. I got this to do. Get out of my way. And then once you know, we had more staff coming on. The staff that knew me were like, who is that? Where's the touchy feeling? How am I doing person? Because I don't have time for that. I mean, so that was very difficult for staff around me, but there were things to do and there wasn't time to go, well, what do you guys think about this? Okay, this is how we're going to do it. And this has got to be done. So I guess I'm somewhat situational. I have found out that it depends upon the situation. I'm starting to go a little bit back towards depending upon if it's the clinic or not, because the clinic this is how this is supposed to run. But I'm sure they're going, I can't wait till she gets back to that democratic, more, you know, how are you doing sort of thing. So.
But I think that it speaks so well that you've got to be flexible. Like as a person that's a leader in whatever capacity, you've got to be flexible. Like some moments you're like, I can ask opinions, but when you have a whole community's health at stake due to something that is so uncontrollable, you're like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to figure this out. I'm going to take control and we're going to go from there. We had a question come in. What are some of the side effects that you guys have seen from mental health? So how has the health department seen things from mental health issues pop up? Or has there not been as much? What does that look like for you guys?
Well, there's been a lot of mental health during COVID, mental health has been difficult for everybody. And if somebody already had pre-existing struggles, boy, was this going to magnify it. Mm-hmm. Now, I can tell you from focusing just on the health department and the health department employees, something I told another group is you better have a wellness program before stuff hits the fan. And we didn't, because health promotion was scraped off the table a number of years ago. It's a different story. And because self-care kind of goes out the window. And so one of the first month I said, we've got to find a position, a wellness position to check in with people because I sure as heck can't do it. And it never reached fruition. There were all these other positions that we had to have, disease investigators. And so it's been really difficult for staff because we found that there were a lack of leaders and people couldn't think right during COVID. That was one of the first things that I noticed. I didn't care how many doctorate degrees or PhDs or the smartest, most strategic people you can have in a room. COVID just affected all of that. It was very, very interesting that people couldn't function in the way they typically could. That's one of the things that is difficult for me now. At the time, I couldn't think about it. It's like, I have something I got to do. I just got to do it. But I'm very aware now with all the hundreds of people that we brought on that we put people into supervisory positions that never supervised. And I'm extremely big on mentoring and training. Well, there was none of that. So naturally people struggled. And so we didn't have the opportunity to help build upon those. And so it was kind of a learn as you go sort of thing. And I would send articles and thoughts out to all the staff once in a while, because most of them weren't working in the building. So I was coming to the building from day one. So mental health, I know, has been a struggle. People working from home. There are people that always thought it'd be great to work from home. We're like, no, you're not working from home. Well, some people working from home, it's not quite what they thought it would be. And then people, particularly for like extroverted, I think, once in a great while, it's okay for me. But I mean, working from home and you got to be around people and that helps fill your bucket. This is one of the reasons this has been good for me, because I'm at the clinic, I'm around this person, I'm around these people, versus sitting in an office all the time, because that fuels my inner bucket. And so that's been part of how this has worked for me, because I get things from being around other people. And I also helped fill my bucket during all the craziness and the pressure of this person wants this and this entity wants this and the community wants this. I would try to respond to every question the community asked of me. And I enjoyed helping people come up with plans if they were able to do their function or their gathering as successfully, healthfully as they could in those parameters. So even if someone was, cussing me out on an email, I would respond to them to say, well, I took some liberty at times. I mean, I was still professional, but I took some liberty with, no, you're not, that isn't correct. We're not that word. There's a lot going on here. And this is why we started with this age group, and I would educate them. And 2/3 of the time they'd respond. First of all, they didn't think they'd respond. I'd respond. They thought it would go into the black air and they could say what they want to say. And so they would say, wow, I didn't know you'd respond. And thanks for providing that information to me, because now I understand. Because I thought, hey, if you're going to be negative and, call me these names, whatever, you might have a loud voice. And so I'm going to educate you on why we're starting with this age group, so that you can spread that information around to other people to help them understand. Not that we don't care. There's data to support these decisions that we're making.
I think that's fantastic. Understanding you, I think the work that you've done in the past, how crazy it is that you're like, okay, I'm doing something at some point in time, and then you figure out later on, you're like, oh, that has helped me to today, where you're responding to people that needed a little bit more of that kind of psychotherapist maybe aspect of things, where that was not probably when you stepped into that position, you didn't think like the way you were going to respond to emails, and the emails that you've received would be like this. And so I think that was such a big thing. And also we had several people respond that said, I wasn't the only one. They were like, I wasn't the only one that had mental health issues. They're like, I'm not the only one that felt those things.
Oh my gosh. That has been just tragic, and the lack of mental health is so underfunded, and, calm care underfunded, and not enough people to spread around to help everybody. So, and I would remind people, and I haven't done it in a while, but when I was doing interviews, at first I would say, be kind to one another, because this is a hell of a time, and, just be kind. Good grief.
Yeah, definitely. We have time for I have another question that was sent in. That was, what's the toughest part about overseeing 136 employees? That's a lot of people.
Well, I have a leadership team. So I have, 5 direct reports, and then they have managers under them. And so ordinarily my philosophy, if I trust in someone, and if I'm going to hire them, I try to hire people smarter than me, that are going to know, that I can learn from. But I usually say, go forth and conquer. And then, I'll check in and see how you're doing. And I usually know a fair amount of the 136 employees. Well, so I'm indirectly, guiding through 400. If I see someone in the hallway, I'm like, can I help you? Like, are you needing to find the bathroom or something? Oh, no, I work here. Oh, so there's just a lot of people that I have no idea who the heck that they are. That's the hardest part, where there's people and I don't know most of who they are. And a lot of them aren't here at East 9th Street because we just don't have the ability to house them. So they're here and there all over. So it seems like a lot of people, but you have to have a good core group, a good leadership team, good directors, who you can, they have what they need. And then I help guide, and I'm pretty good at human resource sort of thing, employee problems, and efficiency. When I'm in this autocratic thing, people know customer service better be good. because that customer service is everything to me. And customer service is how you treat the person sitting next to you as well, as far as your coworker. So customer service and efficiency has been my thing at the clinics. So what can we do to make sure that we're efficient and better be friendly to people? Because there's too much negativity out there. So let's make their experience good. I've had to do very little of that because the people are just fabulous. From the volunteers to the temporary people that we're hiring, they're just fabulous.
It's so exciting to hear that you know that you have trust in your trust in your team, and that you know that your team is going to do the right thing. And it's so incredible to hear that, and also see that play out in our community and do that so well. Well, we've got time to kind of wrap up. So what are your big things that you want people to know? It could be about leadership style, it could be about COVID, it could be anything. What is like kind of your last final thoughts that you'd like people to know?
We don't stop learning until the day that we take our last breath. And just how important it is to be open to learning and knowing that there's always things that we can learn. I'm still learning and making mistakes and learning from those. And you can't please all the people all the time. And not everyone gets to know you on a personal level to know that you aren't who they think you are. But yeah, just, believe in yourself, be kind, and be open to continued growth and learning.
That is awesome. I am so honored to have you here with us tonight. And I am so grateful that you are the Citizen of the Year this year. This so deserve it.
This is the bomb. I'm like, look how heavy it is. I don't believe they gave this to me. What the heck?
You so deserve it. Everything that you have done this year, we are so thankful for you. Well, hang around for a little bit, and I'm going to close us off. So thank you all for coming tonight. I so appreciate you coming to our annual unit meeting. Well, I am bummed, just like you, that some of our videos did not work. Don't worry. You will have the opportunity to see those videos as we post them to our Facebook page. I will make sure that those work for you and that the audio and video is working seamlessly. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us on our Facebook page, YouTube, or via our website at leagueofwomenvoterswichita.com. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are so excited that you have been with us tonight. As an update for what's coming this summer, on June 27th, we are having a tea. This tea is a fundraiser for us to be able to support our initiatives throughout the year. Look more on our Facebook page to be able to RSVP and purchase tickets in advance. You will need to purchase tickets in advance to be able to have a seat at the event. It will be outside and well socially distanced, and we highly encourage you to bring a mask if you feel comfortable. If you are unvaccinated or if you're vaccinated, you are welcome to not wear a mask, but bring one if you would like to feel, if that makes you feel more comfortable. Thank you so much for attending with us tonight, and we look forward to a wonderful summer together and meeting again just before the elections in the fall. Thank you so much and have a great evening.